Okay, imagine this for a second. A future where getting behind the wheel of your car, maybe that classic you've lovingly restored, is actually, well, illegal. Not just frowned upon, but genuinely against the law. Why? Because statistically, you, the human driver, are just too dangerous.
Yeah, it's a really provocative idea, isn't it? And it's kind of the core theme in the research you shared. We're seeing this shift in the conversation about AI.
Right.
It's moving away from just, oh, robots might take jobs because they're cheaper, towards something more fundamental, like maybe humans are becoming a safety liability.
Exactly. And that's what we're digging into today. This deep dive is all about that emerging idea backed by, research and what experts are saying, that AI should take over tasks not just for speed or efficiency, but primarily because human error, our mistakes, our fatigue, it's all becoming an unacceptable risk.
So our mission today is basically to unpack that. We want to look at the main reasons being put forward for this big push towards AI replacement.
Yeah, the foundations.
Right. And then really dive into the data, especially around autonomous driving versus us humans. It's pretty stunning stuff.
Definitely.
And finally tackle let's be honest, the huge social and legal bumps in the road this whole transition creates. It's like mapping out a future where maybe human flaws get legislated out of existence.
Okay, let's start there then with the overall idea of replacement. Some experts are arguing pretty strongly that replacing human work with machines isn't just inevitable, it's beneficial, and we should actually speed it up.
Yeah, that perspective really frames the debate. The thinking breaks down into about four key areas, four pillars, you could say.
Okay.
The first one is efficiency, obviously. But it's not just that machines don't need sleep, right? We all kind of get that.
Sure.
The real kicker is the consistency. Perfect output, 204/7, no bad days, no off moods, no biological limits messing things up, just pure, predictable performance.
That makes the historical comparison some people use quite powerful, like the shift from using, say, oxen for farming to using tractors.
Exactly. It wasn't just faster plowing. It was predictable output you could rely on day in, day out. And that predictability fuels the second pillar, speed.
Right, speed.
Machines just don't have our biological bottlenecks. They process information, move things, react at speeds that, well, our bodies just can't handle.
Yeah.
We're talking microsecond reactions in really complex situations.
Okay, so efficiency, speed. The third one is economy, and this is where it gets pretty intense, I think.
Well, yeah, because the initial cost, the investment in this high-level AI and automation, it's huge, no question.
Big upfront costs.
Massive. But the argument is, over the long run, they become way, way cheaper. Productivity goes up, maintenance becomes more predictable.
Right.
So companies that take the plunge get this enormous competitive edge. It's not just saving a bit on salaries. It's potentially freeing up huge amounts of capital, maybe reinvesting that former salary fund into just massive growth or R&D. It could really change the game for market dominance.
And the final pillar ties right back to our main theme today, safety.
Safety. And this is interesting because the meaning has kind of evolved. It used to be about protecting humans from dangerous jobs, like getting us out of mines or off dangerous factory lines. Now, increasingly, it's about protecting the system from us, from the human element. Machines don't spread diseases between animals and humans, for instance, and crucially, they don't make those tired, distracted, or emotional mistakes that can cause, huge failures.
And to show just how far AI has come beyond just doing simple tasks, the sources point to some really striking examples, like this AI transcription tool, Whisper.
Oh, Whisper's a fascinating case. It learned from something like 680,000 hours of audio, just incredible amounts.
Wow.
Across different languages, accents, really noisy backgrounds, think bars, bad phone lines, you name it. And the takeaway is it's not just good, it's better than human transcribers, even in those really tough conditions.
Better than a professional focusing hard in a noisy room.
Exactly. That's the leap. And then you've got things like this other AI, Claude, which shows the cognitive jump. It can apparently read and process like an entire book's worth of text in maybe 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Yeah, something like that. But it's not just the speed, it's that it can synthesize it instantly, connect ideas from thousands of pages, spot patterns, generate reports, stuff that, honestly, no human team could do that quickly. It's described as just far beyond any human capacity. We're really talking about exceeding basic human cognitive limits here.
Okay, so let's really unpack that safety angle now, because the most life and death application seems to be on our roads. The materials we looked at basically suggest human drivers are becoming intolerable, too
Right.
dangerous.
Yeah, that's where the numbers get really difficult to ignore, especially for regulators, you'd imagine. Take the data from, from major autonomous vehicle developers. Their vehicles show an accident rate of around 0.59, let's say zero point 0.6 accidents per 1.5 million kilometers driven.
Okay, zero point 0.6 per 1.5 million kilometers. How does that stack up against us?
Yeah.
Against humans?
It's not great for us. The human average is about 3 accidents per that same distance.
3 compared to 0.6.
Yeah, so roughly a 5-fold difference in risk.
Yeah.
And when you think about the hundreds of thousands killed and millions injured globally each year because of human driving errors, the argument shifts pretty fast. It goes from, can AI drive safely, to, can we morally afford not to let AI drive?
That is a huge difference. But, gotta ask, are we sure it's fair comparison? Are those AI cars driving in the same messy, rush hour, bad weather conditions we all deal with every day? Or is it mostly, perfect sunny day testing?
That's a really fair point, and yeah, early testing definitely favored optimal conditions. But the research indicates the improvement is incredibly fast. Some analyses predict autonomous cars will meet or even beat human safety overall, like really soon, maybe even this year, 2024. That means they're increasingly operating in diverse, real-world settings.
And they rely heavily on this metric, disengagement rates improving, right? What exactly is that for people who might not know?
Right, so a disengagement is basically when the human safety driver, who's still in the car for now, has to take control because the AI gets confused or fails or encounters something it just can't handle.
Okay.
So if those rates are going down year after year, it means the AI is needing less human help. It's getting better at handling the tricky, unpredictable stuff on its own.
And if these trends keep going, some forecasts are projecting a pretty radical future for driving by, say, 2050.
Yeah, the prediction is startling. By mid-century, it suggested that driving your own car manually on public roads could actually be outlawed. It might become like, horse riding, something you do for sport on a track or private land, but not for daily transport.
Wow. Just imagining telling my kids that driving used to be normal.
It's a weird thought, isn't it? That something so central to our lives could become seen as this dangerous, outdated hobby.
So why? What makes us so bad compared to the machines in this context?
Well, it comes down to consistency and capacity again. The AVs, the autonomous vehicles, they have sensors all around. They're connected, processing way more data about their surroundings than our brains ever could.
360 awareness constantly.
Constantly. And crucially, they don't get tired. They don't text. They don't get distracted by the radio or the kids in the back.
Okay, fair. But the biggest problem seems to be us just being unpredictable.
That's a huge part of it. Think about how often human drivers bend or break the rules. Speeding, following too close, not signaling, weaving.
Guilty as charged sometimes?
We all are, right. But that makes us fundamentally unstable elements in a system that, for maximum safety, needs rigid predictability and precision. Machines follow the rules, always.
And regulators are starting to grapple with this. We saw that example with a major EV company losing a top safety rating after changing its sensor setup.
Exactly. Even if the company argued its cameras-only system was better based on its data, the regulators push back. They want redundancy, multiple types of sensors, radar, LiDAR, cameras working together. It all comes back to minimizing risk, demanding layers of assurance, safety above all.
So restrictions on driving aren't new. We have speed limits, seatbelt laws, phone bans. Maybe autonomous-only zones aren't such a crazy leap.
Probably not, no. You look at cities like Barcelona implementing superblocks, basically. Large areas where car traffic is heavily restricted or banned altogether for pedestrian safety and air quality.
Right.
It's not hard to imagine expanding that idea. Okay, this downtown core, autonomous vehicles only, for safety, for efficiency. It becomes a regulatory tool to manage risk.
Okay, so the data seems pretty compelling, overwhelmingly pointing towards AVs being safer.
Yeah.
Eventually, if not already. But let's get into the messy reality. This transition isn't going to be smooth, right? There are big hurdles.
Absolutely necessary context.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tech isn't flawless, and the research acknowledges that.
Yeah.
One study comparing thousands of accidents found that yes, AVs are safer overall, but they actually had more accidents in certain specific situations.
Oh, like what?
Things like making turns, apparently, and particularly during those low light conditions, dawn and dusk. So the systems still have vulnerabilities, edge cases they struggle with.
Interesting. But the biggest barrier, it might not even be the tech itself. It sounds like it's more about money and lawyers.
Liability.
It's a huge one.
Yeah.
Who pays when an AV does crash? The San Francisco incident in 2023 is a complex example. An autonomous vehicle got involved with a pedestrian who'd already been hit by a human driver who then fled.
Right, I remember that.
The AV then apparently dragged the person. You've got human error, alleged AV error, infrastructure issues. It's incredibly messy. The potential liability claims were estimated in the millions, like $12 million.
So, how do insurance companies even begin to calculate risk for that? How do you set up legal frameworks to handle litigation when the driver is an algorithm owned by a massive corporation? It's a legal and economic minefield.
Which brings us squarely to the social friction. The jobs. We talked about efficiency. But the flip side is displacement. Millions of people drive for a living. Truckers, taxi drivers, delivery folks.
And that's probably the biggest, most immediate social challenge. The experts pushing for acceleration are clear on the tech benefits, but the plan for the human fallout, it's less clear.
Understatement.
Yeah. If this adoption happens quickly, the job losses could be really sudden and concentrated in specific sectors. And unlike past tech shifts where, new jobs were created, need new skills, some worry that when AI replaces cognitive work, those new jobs might not materialize in the same way.
So the fundamental question of income redistribution, or what happens with all that saved salary money, it's just hanging there.
Pretty much. It's this massive administrative and social problem that, frankly, policymakers seem way behind on figuring out, especially implementing solutions in complex societies.
And beyond jobs, there's the systemic risk, right? Putting all our mobility eggs in one digital basket.
That's the other big concern highlighted. The risk of cyber attacks or just unforeseen glitches in these incredibly complex interconnected systems. It's maybe more serious than often discussed.
A single point of failure for an entire city's transport.
Imagine a coordinated attack or a major software bug taking down the entire autonomous transport network of a major city. It could be paralyzing in a way we've never seen before. Far worse than a strike or a snowstorm, which is partly why you see some governments focusing more on connected vehicles.
Yeah.
First, cars that talk to each other in infrastructure, maybe assist the human driver, rather than jumping straight to full level 5 autonomy everywhere. It's seen as a potentially safer interim step.
So that really sums up the tension, doesn't it? On one hand, we have this powerful data, these compelling arguments that AI is just better, more efficient, dramatically safer, or potentially saving millions of lives if we let it take over driving and other risky tasks.
Yeah, the potential upside is enormous.
But, on the other hand, actually doing it forces us to confront these huge simultaneous upheavals, economic, social, legal, systemic risks, and honestly, there doesn't seem to be a clear roadmap for navigating that chaos.
Which leads to maybe one final, slightly unsettling thought. If efficiency, consistency, and safety become the ultimate goals, the prime metrics we use to judge success, and if AI demonstrably excels at all three far better than humans, will we eventually decide that making really big, important societal decisions about laws, resources, policy is also just too risky to leave entirely in the hands of flawed, biased, inconsistent human leaders?
Wow, that's quite the thought to leave our listeners with. Taking the human out of the loop at the highest levels.
Okay.
Well, thank you for helping unpack all of this. It's fascinating and honestly a bit scary too.
It is. Lots to think about.
Absolutely. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this deep dive. Your curiosity is what fuels these discussions. If you found this valuable, please do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future explorations into where technology is taking us. We'll see you next time.